that was the turning point for us, because we were sold out.
Wow.
We were pre-ordered, and we had people calling us within a fortnight to place repeat orders.
Wow. On to a brand new episode of Invisible Work. I'm Anjana Appana. Thank you for joining me, and you already know what this podcast is about. It's about moms who juggle so many things and do it all without anyone even noticing. That's the amount of invisible work that goes into running a household, a business, and well, just making sure everyone's life is exactly how they need it to be. And on the show with me today is someone I am very happy to talk to, and someone who I deeply admire for the kind of change they've brought about in the food industry in India. With us today is Shilpa Mogilishetty, who is the founder of Jus Amazin Foods. Thank you for being here, Shilpa.
Thank you very much, Anjana. It is my pleasure to be here.
And I do mean what I said. I really admire and appreciate what you've done with the food industry, because I think at the time that you came in 2017, which was about 7 years ago, with this company, you allowed people to actually see what it was like to eat everyday items in a far healthier way, right? Because up until then, let's say we had peanut butter, but we didn't have it in its purest form. And you did that with Jus Amazin Foods. How did that come about? How did your company start?
Okay, so this is a really personal one for us. So my husband and I ran the company together. It started because we have a child who's got food allergies. Okay, a child who's allergic to dairy and soya, to be precise. And when we started looking for products for him, because we needed to pick food which was safe for him to consume, is when we started reading labels. Okay?
Right.
And that's when we realized that there's so much junk in our food. And by way of junk, I don't mean just like, the sugars and the salts and the unhealthy fats. That is a big part of the junk that's in our food. But the other part of the junk in the food is all the chemical additives, the number of INS numbered ingredients, E numbered ingredients, calcium carbonate, potassium phosphate, xanthan gums, and all these things which, we didn't recognize as food ingredients. And we'd spend a lot of our time actually Googling, saying, what is this? Where is it coming from? And very simple foods had all these things in it. And then we realized over time that 90% of the food on the aisles, from the packaged convenience food plus the condiment section and all of that, was something our child couldn't consume for multiple reasons. One, either they had dairy or soya, which was a big problem. In addition to that, if we found a few things which didn't have dairy and soya, it was full of these chemicals. And you don't want to be giving your child something which is so chemical laden that you don't know the long-term impact of continuous consumption of this on their health. We don't know that yet, right? Of course, now there's research which helps you understand it better, but we did have concerns about what was in his food. So a lot of times at that point, of course, we were really lucky because my husband Jitin was in a multinational company, was traveling abroad all the time. So, people get iPads and iPhones and all these gadgetry things from outside.
Yeah.
Whereas I would give him a list of food products to go and buy from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. And
right.
This is what you have to bring back because this is good stuff. This is clean. There's nothing added to it.
Yeah. Best suitcase ever, by the way, filled with food items.
Absolutely. At some point through that whole journey is when I said, how does one live like this? You can't, this is not a sustainable model. I'm like, you're setting yourself up for a life where somebody has to hold a job in a company which helps you travel abroad, or you yourself invest in a lifestyle where you have to travel abroad to get stuff. I said, it doesn't even make sense. So I started making nut butters at home for our own personal consumption.
Right.
I learned how to make it, and it actually started there. And over time, we started gifting these to friends and family. Okay, I was like, okay, so buying something, I might as well make a jar of something, And it was also a little bit nostalgic, When we were kids, we all got, like, the neighborhood auntie would make pickle. Right. And then she would send that jar of pickle to your home. Or somebody would make jam and they would send that jar of jam to your home. There was a lot of that which happened when we were kids, right? So we started doing that. We just started taking jars of nut butter to people's homes.
I should add a reminder to add you to my guest list for the next event.
Happy to be on it. So it started there, and then then friends was like, oh, this was so good, can you make another jar? So a lot of friends then came back to us and said, okay, the next time you're making for yourself, can you make an additional one for me?
Right.
So it literally started as a thing in the kitchen till enough people said, why don't you sell this? This is so good. And a lot of people who had tried nut butters, things like almond butter, peanut butter without hydrogenated fats and pure peanut butter, had tried them abroad, or they were living outside and they'd consume these regularly and came back and said, this is as good, if not better, than a lot of the stuff that you get in the stores in the US or the UK or any other part of the world. So totally as entertainment, one fine Sunday, my husband and I said, okay, we'll go put up a stall in Sunday, Soul Sunday, and see what happens. We thought it was a great way to spend a Sunday. Just put up a stall and see what happens. So my whole family descended. We were all there doing this. That was the turning point for us, because we were sold out.
Wow.
We were pre-ordered. And we had people calling us within a fortnight to place repeat orders.
Wow.
Which is when we said, oh, wait a minute, there's something out here. And there is more than just an idea and a product.
Yeah.
And so we started with 4 flavors of nut butters. And what we realized is, I think India at that point was also kind of going through a change. People were asking questions like, what's in my food? That whole movement had just started. We were asking it ourselves, and we were hanging out with people who were asking the question as well, right? So it started there. So then we said, what? There is a germ of an idea. There is some potential business opportunity here. Said, well, so let's do this. And what started as fun kitchen product started taking shape, and then it really did become for us about making a difference. We do believe we are a business with a purpose, because our food system does have a problem.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we recognize that. Okay, there is a problem. People struggle to eat better. The options on eating better come with poor taste, in formats which are very unfriendly, and completely driven by compromise. Whereas what we realize is, when you cook at home, the food is flavorful.
Yes.
You're not compromising on what you want to eat, and it's good for you.
True.
Okay. All of us have grown up where moms have snuck in greens and veggies and put out a dish out there which we've truly enjoyed eating.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying just go back to the basics. So for us, when we think of making a product, we actually take inspiration from that behavior and that ethos of food is meant to be tasty. Food is not just about nourishment for the body from a physical point of view and physiological point of view. It's also about making you happy. It's also making you feel satiated emotionally.
True.
Okay, there's a lot more to food than just nourishing the body, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not tasty, you're not going to go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so therefore what we've over time done is worked with nutritionists extensively to figure out what food combinations should people be consuming. Okay, so we spend a lot of time working with nutritionists to figure out what the combinations of food should be. Then we go back and figure out what the format of that should be. So classic case in point is flaxseed.
Right.
Every nutritionist, every doctor in the world says, please consume flax.
Yes.
It's the most unpalatable thing in the world.
Terrible. I mean, I've choked on it a couple of times.
It is difficult to eat, right?
And no one tells you what the right way to eat it is.
Yeah.
So you can't possibly just put it in your mouth and hope it'll all go down.
Absolutely. So, so what we did was, we've had nutritionists who said, if you eat flax every day, ideally in every meal, it takes care of so much of your health problems. So we found ways of putting flax into a lot of the products that we make. So we make these spicy peanut butters which have roasted whole flax seeds, which are easier to digest. We've got these caramelized almonds which we coat with flaxseed. so that you can just snack on it. It's a small snack pouch, your 4 p.m. snack sorted.
That sounds delicious.
It is one of our fastest moving products, actually.
Wow. Okay.
And we've got seed trail mix, because especially women should be consuming a lot of seeds, but we all struggle with consuming seeds, right? So what we do is we've spent a lot of time and invested a lot of time working with nutritionists to figure out what foods should people be consuming from a nutrition point of view. And then we take inspiration from how mothers think of food when they're cooking, and say, how do you make this tasty so that it becomes something you do regularly, and it's not a one-off. So which is why our identity has evolved over time, and today we call ourselves the clean nutrition brand, because not only do we have no chemicals in our food, internally we have this quote we are driven by, which is chemicals belong in the laboratories, not in our food.
Right on. I was going to say that to you when you were naming all those chemicals. That is the perfect quote for a brand like yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so my husband kind of came up with it. I think he wordsmithed it. He read something and he kind of wordsmithed and put it all together. Right. So we do believe that. And it's food. It has to be tasty, and it has to be nourishing. It has to give you nutrition. The role of food is nutrition. The role of food is not to make you fit. Things that we get so confused.
Very true. Though I realized that when your products had just come out, especially the 4 nut butters that you launched with, one of the reasons it caught my eye was because so many fitness influencers online, or even trainers who were doing really well, they had started these CrossFit training brands. They were all recommending that you try Jus Amazin Food nut butters, because they said that it's the perfect snack and it seems really well balanced. And I remember when I was doing kickboxing, one of my trainers coming and telling me, I've got your 4 p.m. snack sorted, this is what you're going to try. And it really did make a difference, because I feel like I've always loved peanut butter, but my husband never did, and it became something he actually reached out for as well. So 100% bang on the taste.
Glad to hear that. I mean, it makes a difference when you get it from someone who's consuming it.
True. But I love how your inventory has grown. You were also talking to us about something that you have particularly created for mothers. Snack bars, is it?
Yes, so we have this nutrition and energy bar for mothers, which is called the mom bar. We said, let's not kind of put too much thought into what to call it. Let's just call it the mom bar. It's mom.
It encapsulates everything.
Absolutely. So I think from 4 flavors of nut butters, we've kind of evolved, because what we've spent a lot of time doing is listening to consumers, listening to pain points, and understanding what is it that people struggle with, and then creating products for that. It could be a taste profile thing, it could be a flavor issue, it could be a format issue. We're trying to kind of focus on that. So the mom bar, for instance, what we realize is women's nutrition needs are very different from men's nutrition needs or a child's nutrition needs. Okay, the hormonal changes that women go through is far more dramatic and rapid compared to what a man goes through.
Right on.
Yeah. So therefore, and then you do hear your doctors or your gynecologists saying, eat seeds. Seeds are good for you. But I still remember one consumer once coming and telling me, saying, yes, I will eat the seeds, but you do realize that, one, I feel like a cow when I eat the seeds. And she says, I'm working. I cannot sit at my desk in a meeting and chomp on, seeds. She says, it is not very pleasant.
Yeah.
She says, it looks strange. She said, more importantly, I feel like a cow.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of effort to be eating just seeds, right? You have to really chomp down on it.
Exactly. So this, we have a seed butter as well, which we launched as part of our initial range. So that was one way of giving you convenience, where you just put it on toast, you put it on fruit slices, things like that. But the mom bar has been specifically designed, saying, women, especially mothers, are juggling so much. They need something on the go. They need something which can be in their bags all the time. So this is made using 4 seeds, 2 nuts, millets, oats. So, and we've taken inspiration from our traditional chicky,
Oh.
So it's crunchy, it's crisp.
Right.
It's not chewy, it's not very sweet.
Right.
It's slightly sweet, just the right amount of sweetness.
Yeah.
So it, chicky is again very nostalgic, right? We've all grown up
Yeah.
eating chicky.
And what's not to love with chicky?
Absolutely. It's crunchy, it's crisp, and it gives you something
Yeah.
to do, right? So we've taken inspiration from that. So we have this specifically for mothers. It's called the Mom Bar. And it comes to you in 2 very slim bars in 1 pack, and it gives you about 7 grams of protein. So you just have that, and your seed quota is done, your for that snack window
Yeah.
it's done, and your 7 grams of protein is sorted for the day.
Yeah. Very convenient. We've spoken about Just Amazing, but I want to ask you, what was life like before you had your son, who's now 11?
Yeah.
And before you started raising your second child, Just Amazing.
Thank you for calling that my second child, because that's what we go by. We have 1 human child and 1 non-human child.
Yeah. Which one's more demanding though?
The non-human. Very often.
I can imagine.
The variables on the non-human are more out of your control.
True.
And there's less predictability with the non-human.
That's true.
But yeah, the non-human takes up a lot more energy, and time space, and mind space.
Tell me a bit about yourself before all of these big events happened to you, Shilpa.
So just before I kind of had my child, I was basically in the development sector. I spent close to 3.5-4 years there, where I used to consult to organizations, especially microfinance institutions, and help them with their change management. So this is, the whole 2009, 2010, 2011 period when microfinance had kind of taken off in this country. A lot of organizations which were in the self-help group space were moving to slightly more structured NBFC formats. And there also needed to be a mental shift in the way they were working because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you were empowering rural women, you were financing their dreams, you were helping them become more self-sufficient and all of that. But the way a lot of these organizations run were a little less organized than you would want from a financial institution. So a lot of the work that I was doing was in that space, helping them become more, compliant, putting systems and processes in place, also getting them more technology savvy, because we said you have to move away from record keeping in files to it has to be at least Excel based. Let's go a notch beyond that as well if possible. So there was a lot of work. So it's a lot of change management is it's a very broad space. Mm-hmm. Because till you enter the organization, you don't know what change they need. Even they don't know what change they need.
True.
And very often the change requires evolves.
Yeah.
So it is. So you may say you want to change one thing, but then you realize for that one thing to happen, 5 other things have to change. So that's what I'd spend a lot of my time doing. Prior to that, I worked in a media consulting house very briefly in Bombay, and before that, I was studying. I did my master's in social anthropology in Sussex, and I started my career being a qualitative market researcher, which meant I traveled the length and breadth of this country, going to villages, going to cities, towns, tier 1, tier 2 metros, and understanding consumer behavior for food, apparel, jewelry, agri-industry, automotive, technology, all sorts of things.
Very wide spectrum there.
Very wide spectrum.
Do you feel like that helped you, like when you came to setting up your own enterprise? All of those lessons learned there must have kind of been useful or applicable here.
Absolutely. Because I think, here's the thing, when you set up your own business, there are so many things you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so subject matter expertise may be there on one concept or one area, but you still need to learn 8 other things. Legal, accounts, finance, marketing, operations, logistics. There's a lot of that.
My God, yeah.
So there's a lot. So I think having a very diverse sort of career prior to setting up something of my own did was you're able to understand that many things are not constant. You're able to draw on that collective experience to solve for something that you're dealing with today. You're also able to understand that there's so much more that you don't know, and switching industries constantly puts you on a path of always learning.
Right.
I did not have a career which was about, do this and you go from A level to B level to C level to D level. I didn't have that career because I just was not that kind of a person, I guess. So I think all of that has definitely helped set up, run the business. It's collective knowledge and wisdom that kind of kicks in when it needs to, right?
True. Tell me, at the time that you started Jus Amazin Foods, you also had a very young child. How did you make that decision, knowing that there was so much else going on in your life? Was it hard? What was it like? What were your coping mechanisms to be able to be the mom and be the businesswoman?
So I think I've been really fortunate because I live in a city where I have support. My parents live here, my sister lives here. My husband and I were doing this together and still are doing this together. I mean, this is, like you said, our second baby. So between my husband and myself, there was always, even today, the way we function is we look at what's important and who needs to do that part. Okay, if something critical is required at work and I am better placed to address it, then he will say, okay, fine, let me step in on the parenting front and I will take care of all of that, and vice versa. If there's something which requires his dedicated attention on work, then I say, okay, fine, if I have to stay back at home, then I stay back at home, Real life situations are, you'll have an unwell child, the child will suddenly get very needy one day, and will say, I don't want you to go. All of that happens. And then it's about who do you bring into the ecosystem to help support that.
Yeah.
There have been times when both of us needed to travel on work.
Right.
Okay, and then we've been fortunate to have parents and sisters and brother-in-law and cousins who've kind of stepped in and said, you know what, you guys carry on, we're here, don't worry, he'll be with us, and handle it for us. So I think it's extremely important to have that ecosystem. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be anybody, but an ecosystem of people who you can turn to.
Yeah, and perhaps also in that sense to build an ecosystem.
Yeah. Absolutely. And especially as they grow older, when they're younger, their needs are slightly more basic.
Right.
It's more about the food, the pampering, the making sure I go to bed with my favorite blanket, and it's very basic in that sense.
And a schedule is already in place, right? And then you follow that.
Absolutely.
Anyone can run that timeline.
Exactly. And but as they grow older, they will be less willing to do certain things, and you need to, and more willing to do certain other things. Less willing to maybe change their schedule, but more willing to kind of adapt to the fact that, I'm okay if I don't eat at this time, So that change happens. So what I've realized over time is you need a network of people who are family or friends, and you also need their peer group. Your child's peer group, where you can also, as a parent, trust the other parents, and you can have that blind faith, saying, I know if my child is with this person, everything is taken care of.
Yes.
And if kids will fight, kids will argue, and to have faith, saying, I know this person will be able to handle it.
Yes.
And extending that ecosystem in India, especially to even things like the help you have at home.
Very true.
Dependable help, reliable help makes a huge difference. Someone who can adapt. We've had situations where we've had to travel, we've had work, whatever, and my mom has had a great relationship with our cook, our maid, So, she will land up and she will tell them what to do and it'll get done.
Yeah.
You need people who understand that.
Yes.
Who are accommodating.
Yeah. And I guess it's true, it does take a tribe to raise a child.
Absolutely.
If at all, how did the challenges of parenting and running a business from scratch kind of overlap? Did either experience kind of help you figure out the other end of it, or did it feel like, okay, maybe if I just drop this one aspect of my day for today, something else will get easier? What were the challenges and how did you maneuver around them?
So, Anjana, one thing which, I don't believe in the fact that you need to be able to balance at a generic level. I think you need to balance every day based on what that day is looking like for you. Okay?
That's sound advice.
Yeah, because every day is different. Okay? One of the rules we have for ourselves at home, between my husband and myself, because it's double the toll, right? Because when both of you invested in both aspects, it's double the toll at some level, right? What we're very clear is we will prioritize what's most important for that day. If getting to a meeting is critical for that day, that takes precedence. If being in school for something on that day is most important, that takes precedence. And you sensitize everybody in the ecosystem that this is how you function. So, for instance, at work, we have a brilliant team. So when I tell my team, listen, I'm not going to be able to come in on these days, or Jitin says, you know what, I need to push this meeting because something else has come up, the team will get the job done because you've built that ecosystem. The work will not stop because Jitin's not there, Shilpa is not there.
Yeah.
Work will continue. Certain critical decisions may get postponed, may get delayed, but that's okay. Similarly, even at home, we prioritize, saying if right now the most important thing is something to do with work and we don't do a holiday now, fine. It's okay. Just because December is holiday season and summer is holiday season, if work is there at that time and we can't do a family holiday at that time, tough luck.
Yeah.
It's fine. We do it another time.
Yeah.
I think the thing is we prefer not to chain ourselves to a certain way of functioning, because every day is different, every week is different. What takes precedence for that day is very different. So we will have a large plan, a large direction, but completely cognizant of the fact that you are going to make changes to that plan.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that I'll go along with this attitude, right? Yeah. If I had to ask you, what was one of the toughest times for you as a parent? And then if you could also tell me perhaps what was the toughest time for you as an entrepreneur, what would they be? Do you have a memory of something like that?
So I think toughest time as a parent, and even from the business, for better or worse, the pandemic hit when it hit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we had a child who was just in grade 1 when that happened, who just kind of going to school and making friends. And of course, he was going to a preschool before that, but it was very different, right?
Yeah.
And he just started all these extracurricular activities, a very active child, and we had to stop that literally overnight. Tell him no going to school, you can't do sport, you can't do this, you can't do that. He went with it. I think all kids just went with the flow. I think for the first few weeks for them, they thought, oh, this is advanced holiday. And, they were all quite okay with it. But I think it did start taking a toll on them, because they had no access to people.
Yeah.
They were only looking at adults. And that two adults for the largest part. So I think that, so obviously, the child went through his own emotional sort of roller coaster during that period. Full credit to him, though. He weathered it brilliantly.
Wow.
Okay. Of course, we had meltdowns. Of course, we had all of that. But I'm like, adults were having meltdowns. So obviously a child is going to have a meltdown, right? I think that was just to see the fact that, here is this child who wants to do so much and is not allowed to step out of the house. I think just that, as a parent, emotionally that bothered us a lot.
Yeah.
That he didn't have the freedom to do what he wants to do. I think that really bothered us, and therefore you had to get creative on how you keep this child engaged, right? You had to kind of find ways of saying, how do you maintain the emotional equilibrium for him and for you? And so I think that was a tough one. That was also the toughest time for the business, because we had launched a bunch of new products. We were all set to go into, a bunch of new distribution channels and all of that, and then this happened overnight, and then we had all the stock which came back. And we're really small. We're a self-funded company. We don't have VC money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, all this stock has come back. I'm like, yeah, what are we going to do? And it was also a struggle because we couldn't have the full team come into work. There was a very stringent pass system. So we were running operations for almost 4 months with just 5 people.
Oh my God.
Which included production, packaging, filling, dispatch, order processing, everything. And then there was also the challenge of sometimes when we were open, our suppliers were closed, so we had to suddenly say, okay, some products are not available. So it was really tough because there was so much unpredictability.
Yeah. Do you think you've gotten over the second challenge, the challenge in the business? Like, did things get better?
Yes, they did. We weathered it. And I think that's one of the things you realize in a business is every nook and cranny, there is a new challenge you're dealing with. Every phase comes with its own sets of challenges. I think that time it just was tougher because we actually prevented a lot of people from coming to work because there was no public transport. Second thing is we could only ferry those many people in my car.
Yeah.
And we had consciously put this team's health and safety over business. So we said, if you cannot come, it's fine, you cannot come. If we have to run operations with 2 people, today we run operations with 2 people. So I think, therefore, it did take a toll on everybody.
Yeah.
Because, the one thing I was very clear, and I think Jitin and I spent time saying, we don't care what happens, but people should be healthy and safe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, so it was not easy, but well, we navigated it.
Yeah, excellent. Could you tell me, I realize a lot of entrepreneurial moms work with their husbands also as their business partners. What is that like? I mean, I have to ask this question because I feel like, here you are at home together all the time with this big operation that you're running, raising a child, and then you're also running this other business and this enterprise. How does it work? Like, does it sometimes get overwhelming? Does the anger from work ever reflect back on, the dining table?
So here's the thing. It comes with its challenges because what you realize is your entire worldview and conversation is distilled to 2 things in your life. Maybe a third, but largely 2,
Yeah.
I think there is that challenge. But for us personally, I think what working together has enabled us to do is balance and prioritize based on where the need was more. We did not have to worry about something very simple, which I know a lot of working parents go through, which is an unhelpful boss who's expecting you to be there, irrespective of what's happening in your life. And I know of a lot of my friends who go through that challenge. Where friends have said, no, my boss is unfortunately, to use the word khadus. The most common word that's used in the context of boss in this country, right? It's like he or she will not understand that I need to take this day off. So we've not had to worry about those problems. So in that sense, we've had a lot more flexibility. We've had the flexibility of choice to be parent 100% if we needed to, business person 100% if we needed to. I think that's been the biggest flexibility, and it's been a good thing for us. Second thing is because we've both got slightly diverse skill sets, and because we've started a business slightly later, having worked a fair number of years. You understand that when criticism is given or feedback is given which you don't want to listen to, it's in the context of that issue. It's not directed at you as an individual.
You're not taking it personally.
You're not taking it personally. I mean, if the recipe developed is bad, does not make Shilpa a bad person. It just makes the product a bad product. So things like that. I think we've had that, but I think honestly, the downside is the stress permeates both ways. If you're stressed out with something on home, it will be on your mind when you're at work. We're all human. We all carry the stress back and forth, right? So I think that becomes a bit of a challenge. That then you're both stuck in that stressful situation, and you don't have an outlet for that.
And you carry either side back and forth. Sort of the issue becomes buoyant in a way.
I think we lose the flexibility of having someone who's from who has a different problem, so you don't kind of get to download your problem and so I think that's the slight downside to it.
That's interesting. I'm going to ask you, do you have any suggestions for moms listening in who are also business owners? Is there any trick to scaling up? You guys scaled up your business in the last 7 years. Is there any tricks of the trade that you can share to scaling up? And I think another thing that really does come back to me with small businesses, especially when I see how I got introduced to Jus Amazin Foods, is that I discovered you guys on social media. Does that help? Does social visibility actually translate to sales? For me, those two questions kind of go hand in hand.
Okay, to answer the first question, how do you scale a business? It's tricky. Honestly, it is. Because you need enough capital to fuel that growth. Okay. Do you have access to that capital? Okay. In whatever form, shape, whatever it is, do you have access to that capital is one part of this thing. If you don't have access to the capital, then you have to resign yourself to the fact that I can only state this much and make peace with the fact that you can only be that much. Capital is a big part of the scale process. Okay. The second one is there are no tricks per se, but it helps to have a team that is standing behind you and understands why you're doing what you're doing and what is expected of them. As long as you have a team, a lot of things will get done. Right. You have to invest time, energy, effort in building a solid team. They don't have to be the most intelligent. They don't have to come out from fancy institutions. They just have to have the willingness to commit to a cause and say, I'm going to support you in this journey. That's all that matters. They may not even know what to do. You'll have to teach them what to do. As long as they're willing to learn, you're fine.
Right.
Okay. Invest in your people. Know that you need to have access to capital and find how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. It needs it. Okay.
Right.
Social media, it helps to an extent. It helps possibly build definitely visibility. And second, I think social media is also become the space where if you follow someone or your friend follows someone and you hear of something through that, there's a little bit of trust which gets built through that ecosystem. So it does help, but we've never been a brand that has spent a lot of money promoting ourselves on social media, because that is a very deep investment that you need to make. So we don't do that. So you've got to be very careful, because you can spend a lot of money and get nothing in return.
Yeah.
Social media does not necessarily translate to sale. It'll help you build a community. Maybe it's your instrument, which is like the word of mouth instrument. So it can build trust for you. It can possibly put you on the map with a certain set of people, but does not necessarily translate into sales. So don't invest unless you know you can get there.
Don't put all your eggs in the social media basket.
No. Not today, especially. There's so much more. 7 years back, it wasn't this cluttered. Now it's just so much clutter. It's tougher. It's
Every
much
day
tougher.
there's a new brand or a new idea. I mean, today nut butters may be the thing that's the healthiest. Tomorrow someone will come up with some convoluted idea why it's terrible for your heart or, for that one hair follicle on your head.
Yeah.
And then everyone wants to sign out of that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Tell me, how do you decompress? You, the mom, you, the entrepreneur, how do you decompress?
Different things.
Okay.
There is no one thing. It's not like I do yoga and meditation and all of that. I used to at one point have it in a while now. But again, completely dependent on what I'm in the mood for that day. So sometimes my way to decompress is let's just bake. So I will spend 2 hours baking.
Yum.
Okay. Sometimes the way to decompress, maybe I want to catch up with a friend I have not seen in a while over a cup of coffee. Sometimes it could be let me binge watch on something which I have not seen in a while. And once upon a time I loved watching it, so let me binge watch it. Thanks to OTT, we can all do these things now. So it is different. It's a function of where I am, what I am doing, and how much do I want to do something else for that point. So it's not fixed. Not at all fixed.
And having come to the fact that you like to binge watch, I would like to ask you for some of your recommendations. We do this on the podcast. We ask mums for recommendations on either a podcast they recently heard, a book they've recently read, or even a show you've binged recently that you would like to recommend.
Okay, so binged on shows. Okay, I've done a few recently. So I
major decompression then.
Yeah. So I love all these detective law type drama series. So I've just done Law and Order is what's currently my thing, because I just think that that's one of the serials which was done very slick, without too much drama. Enough drama, but not too much of it. So Law and Order, and I've discovered there's a UK version. Actually, my husband discovered there's a UK version.
What, really?
Yeah, there's a UK version. So now the latest thing we're doing is while having breakfast, we watch Law and Order UK.
Okay, I'm going to be taking that down.
So I think that's one thing which has happened recently. The other thing which I love going back and watching is Michael Pollan has this documentary series on food on Netflix. I quite like watching that, and it's earth, fire, water. It's element based, the four elements. So it's very nicely done. I like going back and watching that. It's a very sensible documentary on food. So I do that. Reading, I read a lot on the fly nowadays. I don't read a book cover to cover as much as I used to, but I was traveling recently and I did pick up a Jeffrey Archer, and I felt very happy to be doing that after a long time. I do like, so I go back, a lot of my reading now is fairly heavy. It's research papers and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I'm not doing that, I go back to my favorite authors. I do a Jeffrey Archer, David Baldacci, Paulo Coelho, or I will even read Famous Five, because my son is reading Famous Five. My son and I are huge Harry Potter fans.
Oh, yay.
So I am not listening to podcasts, but I'm listening to Harry Potter on Storytel with my son.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
I always recommend Harry Potter.
Yeah, so that's where we are on the reading front right now.
Nice. Thank you for those recommendations, Shilpa. And the last question I want to ask you is, tell us which are the most popular items and your favorite items from your inventory on Jus Amazin Foods.
Okay. Number one is our almond milk. It's the most innovative. I'm just going to take like 10 seconds to explain that almond milk to you. It takes 30 seconds to make. It's the only product of its kind in the world. It comes to you in a single serve sachet paste format. You empty it out, add water, shake. Just take any bottle or put it in a blender if that's what's easy for you. And you've got fresh creamy almond milk, which gives you 6 grams of protein per serving. You can add it to your tea, coffee, smoothie, whatever. So almond milk is my number one product. I use it every day in some form or the other. The number two product right now for me is the Mom Bar. I just think it's a nice way for me to consume my seeds. It's convenient, it's easy to do. the nut butters, the unsweetened almond butter and our dark chocolate almond butter are my favorites. And then of our snack food range, my go-to snack these days is our multi-seed cracker, which has 60% plus seeds with hummus. That's my evening snack or mid-morning snack.
Wow.
So those are my top picks. And our Desi energy bar, more for my child than me, but he loves it, which is basically made with nuts, seeds, millets, oats, quinoa, which is chicky inspired, tastes like a chicky, but it's got all this other goodness and gives you 6 grams of protein. Sorry, 7 grams of protein.
That's fantastic. You've made me very hungry, by the way. Thank you so much for talking to us. It was an absolute pleasure and also so inspiring to see the changes you have made to the food we consume. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Anjana. Thank you very much for chatting. This was absolutely lovely.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Invisible Work, and we have a very special deal for you. You can log on to jusamazin.com, that is JUSAMAZIN.com, and avail a 10% discount on all of the amazing goodies and food available on the site. I'm telling you, this is something you don't want to miss, and we're very thankful to Shilpa for allowing the mothers of Invisible Work to get in on this sweet deal. So log on to jusamazin.com and make sure you get the 10% discount. The coupon, which is IW10, is also available in the show notes below, so make sure you check it out. And of course, don't forget to log on to our website, that's invisiblework.mom, and you can send me your feedback at anjana@invisiblework.mom. That's it from us for this week. We'll see you very soon in the next episode of Invisible Work.